Hi guys, I'm Robin. Welcome to my channel, The Jolly Jogger. Today I'm going to do a quick comparison between the Dublin City Marathon and the Cork City Marathon. So if you're on the fence about which one to run, this is the video for you. I ran my first Dublin Marathon in October 2024, and the second one I ran this year, October 2025, and I've only run the Cork City Marathon once in June 2025. So these are the things that I think are the highlights to compare between the two races. First of all, weather. Cork is in June, which is a warm month in Ireland, and Dublin is in October, which is a very shaky month in Ireland. So the weather in Cork for me, preference wise, was a bit better because it was a little more stable and it was a little warmer compared to the Dublin Marathon in October. This year was wet and cold. Last year was a little wet and also quite cold, but not too bad. But the nature of October weather, I feel, is that it's a little up and down, whereas June is a little more stable. I will say in June in Cork, it was a little wet. There were like a few moments of drizzle, but it wasn't bad, and it was actually very welcome because it was quite warm. So if you're into warm weather, then Cork's weather will be better for you. If you like a little bit of a chill and you overheat while you run, then Dublin Marathon's weather will be better for you. But for me personally, I prefer Cork because it was a bit warmer and a little more stable, and I knew what to expect and what to wear. Whereas I felt a little underprepared for Dublin because it's like it started off rainy and really cold, and then it rained for a little more, but then it wasn't too cold, but then it was cold again. So I didn't like the uncertainty of that. So it depends on what you would prefer. I would just prefer the more stable, solid, warm weather in June. When it comes to training for either marathon, the conditions you train in will be a little different. So, because Cork is in summer, you'll generally be training during the winter, autumn months. Whereas with Dublin, you'll be training during summer, spring months. So, that's also another thing to consider. It depends on how you are. I can train any season, really, to be honest. I love running, so it doesn't really matter to me that much. But it is more challenging to train in the winter months because of the darkness. You don't get as much daylight. So if you're going to be training, especially from this side of the world, then you need to consider that as well. You're going to have to carve out a lot more time when training for the Cork Marathon. I feel you'll have to carve out a lot more time than you would for training for the Dublin Marathon because you're faced with less daylight when you're training for the Cork Marathon. So that's something to consider. And on that front, I would say Dublin's training season is definitely better than Cork. Um, and now for the route. Now, I did not realize this until this year. Dublin is actually quite hilly. I didn't know that the Dublin Marathon route was that hilly until this year when I actually was conscious throughout the process. I think I was very cognizant of it, and I actually calculated for a friend. I wanted to count for a friend because she'd asked me previously and I couldn't give her an answer. So I thought this time around I'll be able to give her an answer. And I was just like, oh, there's another hill. Oh, there's another hill. And then after kilometer 35, I think there's another hill, and I was like, Dublin, you are quite hilly. Whereas with Cork, I don't think it was as hilly, and especially the route for 2025. Apparently, there was a really steep incline that was previously in the Cork Marathon route that was taken out for this year. So it was much flatter than Dublin. And I actually checked it on Strava, and Cork's elevation gain is 188 meters, whereas Dublin's elevation gain is 242 meters. So, Dublin, you have no business being that hilly. So, if you are looking for an easier route, I think Cork will definitely be easier just based on elevation gain alone. Now, another thing, Dublin has changed their entry system. So as of 2026, it's going to be using a ballot system. Whereas with Cork, it's first come, first serve. So it's not as competitive to get a ticket. So I'm just going to read from the website to tell you guys how the Dublin ballot system is going to be working. So it's obviously aimed at creating a fairer balance so that first time runners can get an opportunity. Because what happened previously, and I was lucky enough to benefit from it, if you had run the marathon before, you would get priority entry. Whereas now they're changing it just so that they can even the balance a little because it has become way more popular. I'm not excited about it because I liked the privilege I had. But to be fair, the marathon has become very popular and it's actually nice that more people will get a chance to actually run it. So, anyway, they say that that's the reason. It's aimed to create a fairer balance between previous participants and newcomers. However, runners who have participated in the Dublin Marathon before will still be well represented, as those entering the ballot can indicate if they have previously participated in the Dublin Marathon since 2016. So what actually happens is that they give you a little bit of an early entry opportunity because you are a Dublin Marathon alum. And they also say the early entry opportunity previously offered to women who participated in the Irish Life Dublin Half Marathon will also transition into the general ballot system because organizers are focusing on increasing female participation to a higher number than achieved through this initiative, which is fair game. I love to see more women on the roads running the marathon. So if that's what they think will work, then great. So you get your good for age and charity places as well. So they say that in addition to the general ballot, entries will also be reserved for elite athletes, fair, good for age qualifiers, fair, charity places, also fair, and community programs and sponsors. So that's actually really, I think, is very fair because, oh, the admin fee that will apply to the ballot entry is €5, and the fee is redeemable against the full 110 entry fee if you do get through, and it's non-refundable if you're unsuccessful. So you'll lose out on a fiver if you don't get through. But when I'd initially heard about the ballot system, I was quite annoyed because I was like, excuse me, this is my marathon, how dare you? But it's actually so wonderful that the opportunity is being opened up to a lot more people because it is a phenomenal race. The crowds are fantastic. The goodie bag is fantastic. Like, who doesn't want to run the Dublin Marathon? And then you get to spend time in Dublin City. Like, who doesn't want to do that? So I completely understand them actually introducing the ballot system. It is just a bit of a bummer for me because I used to benefit from the old system. So yes, that's it. If you aren't in the mood to potentially lose a fiver or gamble at all, then maybe the Cork Marathon will be better for you. But if you are willing to try it out, enter the Dublin ballot and see how it goes. I'm probably going to enter the ballot because I really enjoy the Dublin Marathon and I'd like to do it as many times as I possibly can. I think that if I can do it 5 times in my lifetime, I'll be really happy. So I've got 3 more to go. Ideally 10 because 10 is my favorite number, but I'll just say 5 for the sake of saying 5 now. Anyway, I'll definitely do the Cork Marathon again as well. I've actually advised a friend of mine. I've said to her, look, you want to do your first marathon, I would definitely suggest Cork as your first try because I do believe that the weather is more forgiving. I do believe that the route is more forgiving and it is easier to get into. And um, if you do that, then you can do the Dublin as well at some point. But I think the Cork Marathon is a nice way to ease yourself in. I don't think one is better than the other, though. I have had phenomenal experiences with both. Dublin has a very very soft spot in my heart because special spot in my heart because it was my first marathon. So I'll always want to do it, and I'll always vouch for it, and I'll always encourage people to do it. But the Cork Marathon also that was when I was in peak condition and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the crowds, I enjoyed the weather, I enjoyed my performance. So it's much of a muchness for me, but those are the things that you can consider and take into account if you aren't sure which one you want to do. So that's all. If you guys know anything about these marathons that you'd like to add, please drop me a comment. If there's any questions you have, also drop me a comment and like this video, subscribe, share with your friends, and please do come back for more content from the Jolly Jogger. I don't know why I did that. I just feel like I have to do something gimmicky to entice you guys. I don't know. What do you think? Anyway, hope you guys have a lovely day. Thank you so much for watching. Ta da!